This is Goni Kachalari, a site in Maiduguri where around 340 families are living. All have fled their villages and are doing their best to survive.
Boko Haram forced us to flee Mafa. When they entered the town, they set fire to everything, so we had to escape.
We came on foot to Maiduguri. Before we fled, they harassed us. They stole our money and motorcycles. First the men fled and then the women. Everything we left behind is lost.
Like this woman, most of the displaced arrive with absolutely nothing, and the price of the most basic food supplies in the town have skyrocketed. Unsafe roads are jeopardizing trade with neighboring countries. Local farmers too are affected by the violence.
They are already, all of them are already inside Maiduguri, so you will not able to go to farm because of this insecurity. You will only buy the rice outside the state.
Begging, selling wood, and when they don't have enough money, the only way people can eat is to wait for the woefully inadequate food aid distributions.
We only get food once a month, and even then, we only get given 3 plates of food. And those 3 plates of food are finished within a week.
Most of the displaced are living among the local community, rather than in camps. And they get no aid at all.
So there's an estimated 1.4 million IDPs in Maiduguri. About 150,000 of them live in IDP camps. So we're talking about over 1 million people that are internally displaced living in Maiduguri, that are either living in makeshift settlements, living inside the host community, living wherever they can. So those are the people that are really the hardest to target because they are not visible.
So MSF has begun distributing food in camps in Maiduguri like Faria.
We're doing here in Faria camp, we're doing a targeted food distribution. So that is 25 kilograms of millet, 5 kilograms of beans, 5 liters of oil, and that goes out to all of the families that have children under 5 years of age. And so that's basically the most vulnerable population in the camp gets an extra ration of food to support them through the month.
Since MSF teams started providing assistance in Borno State, they have witnessed alarming levels of malnutrition. Children under the age of 5 years are the most vulnerable and therefore the worst affected. But more unusually, older children, adolescents even, are affected too and are being treated in therapeutic feeding centres. When the conflict broke out in 2013, Elizabeth, like thousands of other people, sought refuge in the protection of civilians site in Malakal. While violence raged outside, civilians hoped they'd be better protected inside the camp.
When you go passing the gate of POC, you will know that there is a risk. Maybe you will die there, maybe you will be raped, maybe you will be beaten. But you just go like that. When you come back and again open the gate of POC, you will say, like when you say in Arabic, Alhamdulillah, you will thank the God.
But in February 2016, UN forces failed to prevent a brutal attack inside the camp. Dozens of people were killed and over 100 others were injured. With nowhere to go, many of the displaced have no choice other than to stay in the camp.
The first thing which is making sad is because of those children, because they don't have the school, which mean that we don't have the future. Who will be the doctor? Who will be the teacher? Who will do everything for future?
Elizabeth works as head nurse at the MSF hospital in the camp. She spends the rest of her time in this shelter where she lives with her brothers and their children, a total of 13 people. Some of them have to sleep on the ground.
This is the sorghum which they use to the service.
For food, every month they are given a sack of sorghum, which they share and make last the 4 weeks. The crisis has been going on for over a year, and the situation in Tanzania continues to deteriorate. Every month, 10,000 refugees cross over the border from Burundi and are sent to already overpopulated camps. Before being allocated a family tent, they live in communal shelters with around 200 people.
MSF is stepping up as required in health, but there is water and shelter. The consequences, if this is not rectified, with more and more refugees coming, is going to be a disaster. The world needs to step in and do something about this before a disaster happens.
MSF is running a 110-bed hospital in Nduta. But the steady flow of refugees, the overcrowded conditions, the lack of aid and the rainy season make the teams fear a further deterioration in the health situation. Take a mosquito, the Anopheles mosquito, and a parasite, Plasmodium, and what you get? A weapon of mass destruction. Yet the situation is said to be improving. It's estimated that over 6.2 million malaria-related deaths were prevented between 2000 and 2015 thanks to major financial investments. But much remains to be done. There are 5 key challenges to combating malaria. Challenge number 1, climate change. Longer and more intense rainy seasons are generally synonymous with an increase in cases of malaria. This may help explain the substantial malaria spikes seen in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda in 2014 and 15, 2 years during which climate event El Nino played an important role in the surge in cases in sub-Saharan Africa. Challenge number 2, insecticide-resistant mosquitoes. Vector control efforts are a crucial component of malaria control strategies and include the use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets for personal protection. According to the World Health Organization, half of the population of Africa have access to them. However, they are now becoming less effective as mosquitoes become increasingly resistant to insecticides. As it is also important to implement strategies to prevent mosquitoes breeding and spreading, this year MSF launched an insecticide spraying operation in Chad, in 22,000 homes in the Mosala region. Challenge number 3, chemoprevention. Chemoprevention consists in distributing seasonal anti-malaria treatments to certain categories of population. This preventive treatment helps to reduce malaria by as much as 30% among pregnant women and babies. During the malaria peak, chemoprevention administered to children between the ages of 3 months and 5 years reduces cases of simple malaria by 80% and severe cases by 70%. Challenge number 4, anti-malarial treatments. Used widely since the beginning of the 2000s, artemisinin-based treatments have gradually replaced now ineffective drugs, resulting in a spectacular decrease in malaria cases and improved patients' adherence to treatment. But cases of resistance to artemisinin too have begun to be documented in South America and Southeast Asia, and it's going to be at least several years before a substitute is found. 5th and final challenge, a vaccine. An effective vaccine, the be-all and end-all to eradicating malaria, is not yet on the cards. The one vaccine currently available is of limited effectiveness against severe forms of the disease. It also requires 4 doses with long intervals between each one, making it almost impossible to use in the field. Only the development of an effective, affordable and easy-to-use vaccine will constitute significant progress in controlling one of the primary child killer diseases. Combating malaria requires rising to these challenges and adapting to different environments. A combination of patient treatment, mosquito control and chemoprevention, along with improved living conditions, has resulted in the eradication of malaria in several countries of Europe and the Americas.
qui me choque aujourd'hui en marchant dans les rues de Paris, c'est de voir que la guerre en Afghanistan n'est pas peut-être reconnue ou comprise, et donc penser qu'on a juste affaire à un phénomène migratoire, alors qu'on a affaire à une population qui fuit une guerre. On voit un phénomène finalement de refus de la communauté internationale qui n'accepte pas finalement la réalité de la guerre aujourd'hui en Afghanistan et qui dit aux Afghans non, vous devez rentrer chez vous parce que ça fait 15 ans qu'on a rétabli un état de droit, une démocratie. Et très clairement, voilà, aujourd'hui je peux pas me voir élever mes enfants en Afghanistan, donc évidemment qu'aucun Afghan ne peut se sentir en paix pour élever sa famille aujourd'hui en Afghanistan.